the big presidential showdown tonight. President Trump and Joe Biden are gearing up for their final face-off on the debate stage tonight in Nashville, with Election Day now 12 days away. Tonight's topics include the coronavirus, national security, and climate change. The Commission on Presidential Debates announced last week the candidates will be muted at the start of each segment. And joining me right now is the Assistant to the President and White House Communications Director, Alyssa Farah. Alyssa, it's good to see you this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Maria.
So let's talk about tonight. What should we expect? What is your take on these topics that have been released from the moderator?
So the president's eager to get out there tonight and make his case to the American people. It's important to show the contrast between he and Joe Biden. So the topics themselves, I'd say he's going to answer those topics, but he's also going to, frankly, answer the questions he wants to. If we don't get to China, he's prepared to bring up China and Joe Biden's disastrous record on it. He's looking forward to talking about his economic recovery plans, contrasted with Joe Biden's tax plan that's talking about, tax rates of 60% for some Americans. So the president's ready to get out there. We're optimistic this is going to be a huge win for him.
Yeah, I mean, look, new battleground polls are out this morning, Liz. I want to get your take on how you view these polls, because the latest polls show President Trump holding on to a lead in Ohio, but Joe Biden is leading in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. When it comes to the economy, swing state voters trust the president, including majorities of voters in Ohio, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Your view on what we're seeing in the polls, which have been pretty consistent overall, with Joe Biden leading?
So in many ways, the polls model about where we were in 2016, and we all know how that ended. We're very confident on the numerous paths that we have to victory. The president spent a ton of time on the road. You're going to see him all over the country. There's a lot of different ways this can go. We were, just last night in North Carolina, the night before we were in Pennsylvania. He's going to be doing as many as 2 to 3 a day rallies. Well, Joe Biden just took 4 days down in the final stretch of a campaign, which is unheard of, really. So we're confident in the multiple paths that we have ahead, but we're also not going to take anything for granted. This president knows he needs to earn the votes of the American people, not just hide and hope that they go in his favor. And we're really going to make the economic case. That's sort of his closing argument. The president that brought us the hottest economy in modern history is the president that needs to be here overseeing this recovery.
Yeah. Stimulus stalemate, Alyssa. Do you think this is is this just window dressing, or, is there something real here? House Speaker Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Mnuchin meeting once again today after they said they inched toward a roughly $2 trillion deal. What's holding this up if, in fact, this is honest negotiations?
So this is really the most optimistic we've felt about getting a deal. There's still obviously some concerns, which you laid out, the concerns over state and local, essentially bailouts for poorly run Democratic cities and states. That's not something that the White House thinks we should be addressing in this package. But we are seeing, I think the speaker's really hearing from her caucus and from her constituents, frankly, getting pressure that she needs to put something on the table. Americans are hurting through no fault of their own, and President Trump is committed to getting a deal. So we're pretty optimistic that we could get something, whether it's a skinny package like you have heard talked about in the Senate, or if it's something bigger. And President Trump has said, I'm willing to go bigger. So we're willing to look at a larger number for PPP for businesses. We're willing to look at a larger direct payment to Americans, to American families. But what we're not going to do is get into unrelated, non-germane topics like addressing poorly run states and cities.
So is this going to come up tonight, Alyssa? What will the president say about the economy if, in fact, the topic of creating jobs, his performance in terms of the economy doesn't come up? Are you expecting that he will push the subject through? And what about the Hunter Biden scandal? Is that going to come up? The debate was supposed to be about foreign policy, and now clearly it's been changed.
So, I've learned not to predict what the moderators will ask and whether they'll focus on the really important issues. I've spoken with Kristen Welker. I've raised that I think it would be wise to raise exactly those topics. We need to have a real discussion on China. traditionally the third debate is really a foreign policy debate, but this one's got a whole lot of different topics. So the president's going to go in ready to make his case on the issues he sees as most important: the economy, holding China accountable, the economic recovery. And I do think we are going to, whether it's asked or he has the opportunity to bring it up, he's going to get into this issue of Hunter Biden. The American people need to know if the Biden family in any way is beholden to China. I mean, this is our biggest geopolitical adversary, and the fact that most of the mainstream media is just refusing to cover this story is gravely concerning, but the president's willing to bring it up himself if necessary.
All right, we'll be watching. It's going to be important. Alyssa, thanks very much. Good to see you this morning. Alyssa Farah joining us there.